thanks so much for being here. Hi, I'm Teresa from 360 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio. So today's tutorial, we are making the Retro Sling by Kandou patterns. So this pattern has been out for quite some time, and there are quite a number of tutorials out there, but today I wanted to make this and do my own tutorial. So, and the pattern will be linked in the description box below. So this is the Retro Sling by Kandou Patterns. All fabric I have used, the exterior fabric and interior lining fabric, is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. So this one I did, there's two versions that you can use, that you have a swivel clasp that hooks onto a D-ring up here. I chose to do the magnetic snap because when I want to get into my bag, I want to get into the bag and not have to fool around with unclipping anything. So look at how beautiful this bag is. It has a generous front slip pocket, not big enough for your phone unless you have a smaller phone. And then you undo the front flap. And so there's the interior lining, and lots of room for your phone or anything else that you might want to put in there, maybe a small Kindle. And then undo the zipper into the main compartment, and it is a bound bag. And you have on the back wall, you have a slip pocket, so lots of room for your phone there as well, and tons of room inside so that you can try and get the light to show in. But lots of room inside to put a large tumbler, water tumbler in there. Lots of room up in this section too if you have something tall along the back there. So those are the two compartments. And then on the back we have, oh, and on the strap we have a D-ring connector. So this enables you to, it's kind of like a little grab tab so that you can grab this and hang this D-ring connector on a hook or anything like that. And then you have an adjustable strap. I've used the 1.5 inch webbing on this, and all of my hardware is rainbow. And then our D-ring connectors on the back, and an added zipper pocket on the back, which is big enough for my large Samsung phone. So get your pattern, figure out what fabrics you're going to use, and join me in this tutorial in making this gorgeous Retro Sling bag by Kandou Patterns. Alrighty, so for today's tutorial for the Retro Sling by Kandou Patterns, I'm going to, the fabrics that I'm using, they're all from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. So the exterior fabric is this beautiful opal, it looks like an opalescent alcohol ink painting, and it's a heavier waterproof canvas that has PVC backing. So there is some structure to this, so I am not going to be doing any interfacing or foam interfacing on that. One of the zipper pockets just in behind the front flap is these shorter rounded zipper pocket. So this is going to be my contrast, and this is a beautiful iridescent metallic, kind of a purpley mauve, and it is a little heavier, so there's definitely not going to be any interfacing or foam, and it's a really pretty vinyl. And then the interior lining is this really pretty opalescent nylon, waterproof nylon. Now this is really thin, so it's pretty thin, almost like a windbreaker weight of material, and it does make a really nice lining, but I want a little bit of structure. So I'm trying for the first time, I ordered a roll of the 1mm thick EVA self-adhesive foam from Amazon. So I put that on all of my interior lining pieces, except for the zipper pockets. So those are the fabrics that we're using today, all from Sam Fabric Creation. The hardware I'm using is all going to be rainbow. And I have one swivel hook, I have two D-rings, no, sorry, 3 D-rings, a magnetic snap, my bag tag, rainbow, and I have 3 zipper pulls. So that's the hardware, and the thread that I'm using is this beautiful purple. It's Plum, and it is Tex 45 Fusion nylon bonded nylon thread from EMMALINE bags. So that's what we're working with today, making the retro sling from Kandou patterns. All right, we're going to be starting to work on the back panel with a zipper. It's a vertical zipper. So you're going to need your exterior back panel pattern piece A. And then there's a lining piece that we'll use at a later time. And then you're going to need your pattern piece B, which is the back zipper pocket. And there's just one lining piece of that. And then you're also going to need one of your zippers that will fit the zipper opening for the back panel. And I've already put my zipper pull on, and I have already put double-sided tape on. And I'm just going to quickly burn the ends of the zipper because these guys are fraying, although they will probably be trimmed off. So on the back, on the wrong side of your lining, there is a measurement in the pattern, on the pattern piece, to draw your zipper box center line and triangles, because it's going to go this way. So on the wrong side, you draw your zipper box, and then on the right side, you put your right side of this lining together with the right side of your back panel, and your back panel is facing top to bottom, so vertical, and your lining piece is going horizontal. And there is a measurement in the pattern of where to place this. And I'm going to use my, hopefully it will stick, my painter's tape to hold this lining piece on. I just want to make sure I'm going to be putting it in the right spot. So, excuse me. Yeah, so I'm going to just put some painter's tape just to hold it in place. I don't want to pin it because I don't want to pin through the waterproof nylon and the vinyl, or the waterproof canvas. And then just make sure that it's sitting, like it's sitting straight, so it's not askew, because you're working with a vertical piece and a horizontal piece. So this looks pretty good, and I'm just going to measure just from my one edge to the edge of the fabric. Let me get the space here, just to make sure that it is the right distance away from top to bottom. And it looks like this edge can come over a little bit. And we'll measure again. All right, I'm just going to stitch around this box. So overstitched one. Pick that out. All right, so I did overstitch one little spot here, so I'm just going to take my seam ripper and just pick that out, because I did backstitch to secure it. Okay, just cut along your center line and your triangles here. Without cutting your stitches in the corner. I've done that before. Okay. All right, so before we turn it to the other side, I'm just going to put double-sided tape all around the box so that when I turn it, I can tape my fabric down onto the other side so that it'll hold in place while we put our zipper on and stitch our zipper pocket. All right, so just push it through to the other side. Work with one side, like one edge. I'm going to work with the shorter edge first because it's always the awkward one, at least for me anyway. So just take your ends and pull them. Pull out those corners so that they don't pucker. And I'm going to take the backing off the corner, the sides. Once I get those placed first, everything else seems to kind of fall into place. Oops, wrong one. I want to pull that one. And one more side. Okay, so there it looks now going this way on the wrong side, the inside, and then this is what it looks like on the right side. Okay, so make sure that you have your back oriented top to bottom because your zipper pull is going to be closing upward. So I have my zipper pulling up. And I'll just take the backing off the zipper tape, double-sided tape. Just going to turn it this way. Lay my zipper tape on my desk with the zipper pull pulling up, so that would be pulling to the left. And then I'm just going to lay my zipper box over top and center it over top of that zipper. I've cut my zipper longer than what's in the pattern. I usually do that just to give me some wiggle room, and then just lay that over top and center everything so that your zipper teeth are centered in the center of the box. Oops, I moved it. All right, so just like that, leaving your lining going this way, I'm just going to stitch all the way around that zipper box. I'm not going to worry about pulling the threads to the back because this thread will blend in quite well with the with this fabric. If I was using a solid color, then I would definitely pull the threads to the back. And I'll back stitch over top of the zipper. Okay. All right, so there is our vertical zipper on the back of the bag. And your zipper will pull down and up. So now what we're going to do is flip it back over to the inside up. And we're going to fold over the zipper or the zipper pocket. First of all, I can feel it. Pull back your zipper and the lining facing and pull off all of your double-sided tape because you don't need it anymore. And it's just going to get in the way of your sewing as well as holding the fabric down when you want it to be pulled away. You can pull it back. There you go. All right. So take your lining and clip it to the top. Take your bottom edge of the lining and clip it to the top edge. Make sure your zipper pull is in the middle so it's not in your way. And clip down the sides, and we're going to just be sewing along the sides and along the top edge to close up this zipper pocket. Okay. Oops, there we go. Okay, and then stitch across the top. Okay, so there's our zipper pocket. I forgot to mention I was using rainbow zipper. So there is our zipper pocket inside. And then on the reverse is what we have stitched. Now I'm just going to trim these edges just to reduce some of the bulk, although this lining isn't very bulky because I didn't put any of the EVA foam on it for the zipper pockets. And I'll take a lighter to the ends of the zipper as well. Okay. Just pull back this, just take the lighter to the zipper edges and just melt them. All right, so there is so far our back pocket with our built-in vertical zipper, and I'll be back. All right, so now we're going to be working on our D-ring connectors for the connectors that are on the back panel of the bag. So you're going to need 2 D-rings. I have 2 1-inch D-rings. You're going to need your pattern piece E, which is the side connector, and you have 2 exterior pieces of that. And then there's no pattern piece for this, but then the D-ring connectors that will go inside your triangle pieces. The measurement is 2 inches by 2 inches. I've got 2 inches wide, but I've made them longer. So we're going to start with those first. So this I was able to fold down the center and create a crease. But if you can't do that, draw a center line, double-sided tape on both edges, and we're just going to fold the raw edges into the center to create a 1-inch wide D-ring connector. Oops, it's sticking. And do that for both. Now with this particular D-ring connector, typically we do top stitch both sides at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I'm going to do it just to make, just more, because if any of mine gets to be seen, I want to make sure that it's top stitch. But in the pattern, because they're going to be so close into our side connectors, they don't really need to be. Anyways, I'm going to top stitch now on both folded edges. All right, and put each D-ring onto each connector, and then we're going to baste the bottom closed. All right, there we are. Okay, so take your pattern piece E, the side connector. You have 2 exterior pieces. I'm looking for my pattern to put my pattern pieces in. Okay. Take your 2 E pieces, and on the long straight edge, I have a 1/4 inch double-sided tape on both of these on the wrong side, and I'm going to fold that down so we have a 1/4 inch turned edge on both pieces. And 1/4 inch double-sided tape works perfectly because you get the perfect 1/4 inch edge. All right, then take your point, you've got it folded over this way, and then fold it in half, corner to corner. Trim off these edges if they're sticking up. If you want to do that, it just makes it easier to see what you're doing. All right, take your piece, fold it corner to corner, wrong sides together. And then you're going to take your 1 D-ring connector that we just made and put it inside the fold so that it's right up against this folded edge and underneath this folded edge. And just clip in place for the moment. And then repeat for the second one. So your D-ring is coming in just above that fold. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch across here and here, and I'm going to come in a 1/4 inch from that stitch line, and I'm going to sew another set of stitches just to make sure that that D-ring connector is secure. I'll come up the folded side as well. All right, and then I'll do that second set of stitching, and that'll help keep that D-ring in place inside. Mine's a little longer than what's in the pattern. All right, and then I'll repeat for the second one. Get that down a little further. Make sure your D-ring connector inside is right up against that fold so that it gets caught in the stitching. Okay, so there are our 2 connectors, just like that, and we'll go on to the next step. All right, so now we're going to take our back piece, and in the pattern, on the pattern piece, there are measurements of where we're going to place these D-ring connectors, and I have already marked my pattern on both sides, and the D-ring connectors are going to be up. So when you have, let me see, they are going to be facing upward, not this way, not going down. You want the D-ring heading to the top. So you're going to place them right sides together so that when they open, you'll see the right side, and place them between those marks. Now with the points, make sure that the points, you've got it coming off the edge just a little bit so that you catch everything in your basting stitch, and center that over top of those marks. And then do the same for the other one. Just want to get my lighter. I'm going to switch them around. Okay, and just clip them on, centered between those 2 marks. Make sure that your pocket lining is out of the way. Okay. The patterns match better this way on the back. All right, so I have it clipped on, and both of my pieces are pointing up this way, and I'm just going to make sure that they're even. So it has to come up a little bit. Okay, and then we're just going to baste them on to hold them for now. All right, beautiful. Okay, so there are our D-ring connectors on our back panel, and I'll be back. All right, so we're going to be creating the interior slip pocket on the main larger part of the bag. So on the pattern piece, the back pattern piece, there is a fold line, and you just cut your lining, your interior lining through there. So I have cut one exterior and one lining, and I've left it flimsy. So this is going to show, because this is our lining, interior lining piece, it'll show this way. So you'll at least be able to see it when you look inside the bag. So very simple. We're just going to clip the top raw edges together, and we're going to sew at about 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then flip that over and top stitch that folded edge. This is very easy. Okay. Oops. Flip it over, finger press, and then just fold your 2 wrong sides together. Flip. Roll your seams open. Just making sure that all of your edges meet, and then we're just going to top stitch across the top of that. All right, so this is pretty easy. You take your lining, your interior lining. Now this piece I have already covered with the self-adhesive EVA foam, the 1 millimeter thick. It's not very thick. I've never used this, and we're going to see how it behaves, especially going over top of the needle going in it, and hopefully it doesn't gum up. So all we just do is just line up the bottoms, clip, line up the bottoms, line up the sides, and then just baste these together. So you've got your I've got the right side of the main back panel lining and the lining of the slip pocket together. And we'll just baste that all on. It's sticking. Okay. All right, and I just want to see if I have to trim that at all. I can see that there's some overhang. And my needle looks good so far. All right, so there is our lining back panel of the bag. Now we're going to take our exterior back panel that we did the zipper and the pocket, and we're going to put wrong sides together of the lining with the interior slip pocket. These two wrong sides together, clip, and we will baste them all together. Mark your centers, which I didn't do. That helps. it will tend to get bulky. So know what your machine can handle. All right, and trim up any unruly edges, or uneven edges, I should say, because this will be a bound bag. This is going to be so pretty. Colors are absolutely so, they're just gorgeous and so vibrant. Oops, I'm losing pieces. Okay, and our back panel is now complete. So there's the exterior, zipper pocket, and that will go down past this D-ring connector. And then inside we have a nice generous size slip pocket. All right, I will be back. All right, we're going to start working on the strap. Now in the initial, when I was showing you my hardware, I showed that I have a 1-inch lobster swivel clasp. I've switched that now to a 1.5 inch and a 1.5 inch wide tri-glide strap adjuster, because I've decided instead of using 1-inch webbing for part of the strap, I'm going to use 1.5 inches. So this is just seatbelt webbing I got from Atelier in New Brunswick. So make sure that you just take the lighter to the ends so that they don't fray. This looks pretty good that it doesn't fray too much. Okay, and what we're going to do, the measurement for the webbing is in the pattern. There are different measurements. I've done mine a little longer. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach the tri-glide on first. So with the right side of your adjuster tri-glide up, and the right side, now this is black, it doesn't matter what side I use. But if you have fabric, yes, it does matter which side I use. I apologize. So there you can see a pattern there. That's the right side. And then that's the wrong side. And when you actually see it in real life, you can tell the difference. So my right side up, I'm going to take the strap, the end of the strap, and go under and then up over top of that bar. And then about 2 inches, I'm just going to then fold that raw edge under. And I'm going to, you can stitch this shut, but I'm going to use rivets. My hole punch to punch the holes. There we go, that's bigger. Now, because this webbing frays, I am going to use a bit of my Beacon's Fabri-Tac on either side, just to help it stay in place. Okay, and I'm just going to take the post part of my rivet and pop it through the holes. Both of them. All right. And then I'll take the Fabri-Tac on the underside. Take some of that, try to burn some of that material away. Okay, and then just put a bit of Fabri-Tac on the posts. That's just going to help with the frame. It's more for my security than anything. Pop the posts on, pop the caps on. All right, and then we'll just press these into place. Okay, so we have it riveted on. That's the right side. Okay, and then just take your swivel clasp. This is the right side underneath, and put the swivel clasp on. Bring this all the way back up to your tri-glide adjuster. Go underneath and up over top of the bar and back down again, and then just pull it. So now you have a strap adjuster, and then we will go on to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to be constructing our strap, the rest of it. So you're going to need your 2 exterior pieces from pattern piece C, which is the shoulder strap piece. So you've got 2 exterior, and you're going to need your pattern piece D, and you have 2 exterior for the strap connector. You're going to need your completed adjustable strap portion with the webbing that we already did. All right, so starting with pattern piece C, we're going to have 1 piece right side up, and make sure your centers are marked. I've got a fold in there. And with the right side up curve at the top, you're going to take the raw edge of your webbing, and I'm just going to melt it a little bit more. So the raw edge of your webbing, and have that, you're going to put right sides together with the right side of your strap, shoulder strap, and center it here between the 2 edges of the curve. And then we're going to base that on. Okay, just like that. So when we see the strap, it's going to be the right side up. Tighten that up a little bit, and then we're going to take our other shoulder strap piece and put that right sides together with the one that we just attached the strap to. You can put foam in between if you want a cushier strap, shoulder strap. I'm not going to do that. I'm just, you know, for a child, maybe you might want to do that. I'm just going to leave it like this. All the other bags I've made like this, I haven't put any foam in. Okay, and then stitch all the way around here at the seam allowance in the pattern. Make sure you don't stitch your webbing into that. Keep it out of the stitch line. Okay, and then just trim down the seam allowance on just the sides only, not the top edge. You might want to just take your pinking shears to that top edge, just lightly along the top edge, just to help when it gets turned that it will lay flat inside. Or even just give it maybe some little snips here just to help go around those curves, but don't cut into your webbing. Okay, then take your strap and pull it, and then you're going to kind of pull this over top like peeling a banana. And we're going to turn this right side out. I guess I should have left my strap connector down here somewhere. There we go. All right. Use your turning tool to poke out the curves and smooth out your edges, your seams. Don't poke too hard. I've poked through the fabric before. Now, before we top stitch, this is where you could cut the foam and insert it into the shoulder strap and have it meet on the inside underneath one of the seams, and then that will give it some added foam. So that's where you would insert it, and then it would be caught in your top stitching. Okay, so we're just going to top stitch all the way around the edge here. Okay, now this is where, so that here's what we have. There's our right side already all top stitched. So then the next step is we're going to take pattern piece D, the strap connector, and we're going to take the two right sides together, and you have a short edge and a long edge. Just clip the sides, and we're just going to stitch those sides at the seam allowance in the pattern. All right, so after we have made top stitched all along the shoulder strap, this is where you can add an extra D-ring connector so that you can have, use it to hang up your bag on a hook or anything like that. It is really, really handy. This bag also in the pattern is written to have another D-ring connector to use for the front flap of the bag with a swivel clasp connector and to hook onto that D-ring, and we're not going to be doing that with this bag. We're going to be using a magnetic snap. So I am going to put this D-ring connector on this part of the strap, so I have the right side up of the shoulder strap and right sides together of this D-ring connector, and I just want to see what my right side's going to be. Okay, center it. I've got my center marked here. Center that D-ring connector, and we're just going to baste that on this bottom edge. All right, so now we take this piece that we have just made, and you have the short edge and the long edge, and you're going to feed this edge that we just put the D-ring connector on, and you're going to feed it through underneath through the long edge to the short edge. I just want to see what I want as my right side. Okay. All right, so feed it in from underneath. And it should fit perfectly. And then we're going to stitch across here at the seam allowance in the pattern. All right, so I have stitched that on, and now we're just going to trim off these corners, the 4 corners only. And don't trim any of your connector. And then turn it, pull it right side out. Grab your D-ring connector if you need to. And then get your little pokey tool and start smoothing out your corners, poke out your corners, and smooth your seams, because we will be top stitching this then. And then just roll those seams, the side seams, and clip. Oh, perfect match of fabric. How about that? All right, now we're just going to top stitch all the way around this edge. All right, and our strap is done. And then there's the hook that you can grab. And you can even clip your keys if you have a clip on your keys or whatever. You know, that's a great spot too. All right, our strap is now done. What we can do is kind of just fold this up. And I'll just clip it just so that it stays out of the way for when we start attaching it. All right, just like that. All right, I'll be back. All right, so we're going to continue and start making the front panel. So you will need your pattern piece G, the front zipper pocket lining, and your pattern piece F, which is the outer front panel. So we're just going to need the exterior piece at this point in time. And just put your lining aside. And the pattern piece G. So we're going to be building the front zipper pocket. And just like on the back vertical zipper, on the wrong side of your lining piece, the pocket lining, draw your box, your zipper box, and right side of your pocket lining with right side of your exterior front panel. And lay this on, center it. And there is a pattern, mark in the pattern, or a pattern marking, and I'm just going to center it up here and use my painter's tape to hold it into place. And then we're going to stitch around the box, the zipper box. Okay, and we'll just do that right now. A little bigger than I wanted, but okay. Don't need that anymore. All right, so we've stitched around our zipper box. You can see it on that side and here, and then I'm going to cut down the center. I didn't draw a center line. I mean, we can all figure out the center. Cut down the center line, make sure I cut out my triangles as well. Just making a little initial snip first in the center. And then cut your triangles into the corner without cutting your stitching. And I'm going to take some double-sided tape and just put it all around the outer edge of the zipper box so that when I flip this over, and I put it about maybe at 3/4 of an inch to an inch down, just so that it catches the fabric on the other side. And that will all be removed anyways, because we don't want that in our stitch line when we sew our zipper on. All right, then just take your lining fabric, stick it through the hole to the other side. Just take this short edge, and then we just work it around and fold it around our zipper box that we just sewed and cut. This is the hard part I find at times, is pulling this stuff out. Okay. The beauty of the double-sided tape is it helps hold it down, especially when it's fabric. If you have cottons that you're cotton or canvas, cotton canvas that you're using, you can iron this. I can't iron the nylon. And then you can pull your corners so that they don't have puckers in them, which is nice. And then place the double-sided tape down. All right, so there it is on the right side and on our wrong side. And then take your other zipper that will match, that will fit in this zipper hole. I've already put my zipper pull on, and I'm just going to melt the ends just so that they don't fray. They probably will be trimmed down. And double-sided tape on the top edge and the bottom edge. And I just take the backing off. Okay, and zipper pull, pulling to the left. Okay, well, I have it laying on my desk here with the zipper pull, pulling to the left. And then center your, with right side up, center your zipper box over top of that zipper. All right, just like so, and I'm just going to stitch all the way around there. I've lowered my stitch length down to a 3. If your zipper pull is in the way, just lift your presser foot, needle down, lift your presser foot, and move it out of the way. All right. And of course, if you have any long threads sticking up, then take your lighter to them to seal them as well, which I do. All right. And this is what we have. So then flip it to the other side, pull back your lining now at this point, and you can peel off the double-sided tape that you had on here that you used to hold this down. Just pull it all off. You don't need it anymore. It served its purpose. All right. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just seal up our box. And just take your bottom edge and fold it up to the top edge. And then I like to sew as close to the zipper as possible. But clip the top edge and the sides, and then we're just going to sew that up. Now, it's going to be a little bigger. I didn't quite center it properly, so it's going to be a little bigger. So I'm going to make a larger seam on the sides. And I'll show you what I'm going to do to help seal the side. All right, so when I sew, I'll pull these sides away so that I can stitch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the edge away. I'm going to start at the top and sew down and double back stitch over top of these zipper teeth and the little triangle. And then I'm going to sew slightly down, and I'm just going to veer off a little bit just to make it a little wider down here, as long as it's not going to be in my seam allowance, and then do the same on the other side, and then pull the back up. And when I sew the top edge, there's the part of the zipper box. I like to catch that in as well, just for added security. All right, so we'll start with one top edge to sew down over top of the teeth. And back stitch over top of the teeth. Okay, so this is what we have. So we have our zipper pocket all made. Some light in here. And then on the wrong side, we have this. So I'm just going to trim up all of these edges and trim them down. So I'll use these scissors. And then they won't be even part of my seam allowance. But I did catch those triangles as I sewed over them. Okay, and I'll just take a lighter to where those zipper ends are. Okay, and there is our front pocket. And there it is at the back. So this is where you can first of all decide where you want to put your bag tag. And if you have one, because now this bag I'm not going to be making with the swivel clasp and hook. I'm going to be using a magnetic snap. So at this point in time, we're going to be installing that portion, but I'll do the bag tag first. There's my bag tag. All right, so with this one, we're doing the magnetic snap closure. So in the pattern, there's a measurement to cut a little square of your fabric, stabilize it down the center. I've stabilized it with duct tape. And I have 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape on either side. So we're going to fold those edges over the 1/4 of an inch. So then we fold this in half. So we have it folded. Fold this in half. Make sure that your folded edges meet. Flip the sides. Make sure they're even. All right, so one of the things I don't want to be doing, now if you have like a button type rivet magnetic snap, then you would just go ahead and top stitch on either side. I have the prong rivet or the prong magnetic snap, so I've just created a fold so I know where I want to place my magnetic snap before I'm going to do the holes before I do this. Okay, so I want it to be, okay. And I'm just going to place the magnetic snap here and kind of center it. I don't want to be putting this on when I'm trying to, when it's been sewn on, only because it's hard to get my fingers in there. Okay, and I'll just and it's the male portion of the magnetic snap that we're using. And this will be on the underside, so decide which side you want to be showing on the right side. Okay, so I want my prong under here. And then I'll just take a piece of duct tape to cover that, the prongs. Okay. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to clip it again down the sides, and I'm going to top stitch the edges and across the folded edge. All right, so there are our magnetic snap, so that when it's going to be sewn on, and then when it gets folded up onto the back panel facing, the magnetic snap will clip into the female portion. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I have marked the center on my front panel up at the top here, and I have marked the center on the wrong side of the underside of my magnetic snap tab. So that will be the part showing when it's clipped onto the bag. So with the male portion of the magnetic snap facing up, put this side, right side together with this edge and clip, and then we're going to baste that on. All right, taking your pattern piece F, the outer panel, the outer front panel, take your lining piece and we're going to be putting right sides together and clip, and then we're just going to be stitching from this point all the way up here across the top and down this side. So just clip all of that together. One of the things is, if you're not sure, if, you know, sometimes I struggle with getting the right seam allowance. That's mentioned in the pattern. So you could draw your seam allowance all the way around here and across and down. I'm just going to wing it. Make sure your zipper pull is in the middle. And back stitch at the beginning and the end. Go slow around those curves. Even if you have to hand crank around them, that's okay too. But just go slow. Okay. Now you can take your pinking shears and use your pinking shears along there. I'm just going to trim my corners off. I'm not going to cut up here because we don't want to be cutting into that connector. And then I'm just going to put little snips all around this curve. And then when we turn it, it will help it lay better. sometimes with your pinking shears, your fabrics may be thicker, and mine don't like, they don't like to cut through thicker fabric. All right, and then we turn this right sides out. You're going to need your turning tool to poke. Grab your little tab, that'll help pull everything. And then make sure that your little corners here get turned out. Clip as you go because we will be top stitching all around this. This is where your turning tool will be very handy. Oops. Okay. This is going to be so pretty. Now I definitely need something a little pointier to get into these corners. It's not too bad. My broken off knitting needle just doesn't want to poke it. You want these corners to look really good. Okay, just like that. And just smooth out your edges. It gets in the way. And clip, because we will be top stitching them. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be top stitching across here, all the way across that edge and down here, and then I'm just going to baste all around the raw edges. Okay, that looks really good. So what I'm just going to do is trim off some of this excess along the bottom. I don't profess to be a very good cutter. All right, so there is our front and then the inside lining for that pocket. So now what we're going to do, so we'll just put this aside for the moment. You're going to take your pattern piece H, which is the inner front panel, and I have this as my exterior. I haven't done any kind of stabilization. And then this one is the lining. So I've put the EVA fuse on it. So put wrong sides together, clip it all around. Okay, and I'm just going to baste all the way around these two pieces together that are wrong sides together. Okay, take this piece right side up and your front panel right side up. Line up the bottom corners and clip. Now, when you line it up, you're going to find that these two corners here extend past this panel. Look at how pretty that looks. So you'll see that they overhang. What has to be done is you take this edge and line it up. So you take the edge of this corner and line it up with this edge, and the same on this side, and you're going to wind up with a little pooch that has a bit of a pouch that in there, so that you can have a little bit of dimension on that, in that front pocket. I find the easiest thing to do is just do the bottom first, then take one side and line up all the raw edges and clip. And then do the same on the other side, just line from the bottom up, line up all the raw edges. So just like that, and you can see that there's a little bit of a pooch there, which is exactly what you want, and then we're just going to baste all of that together. Making sure when you go over those edges that you've had forced to meet the raw edge of the of this part of the pocket, that doesn't move and get pushed out of the way from your presser foot. Okay, that looks really, oh, that looks great. This might be my new bag. This will be a nice summer bag. Oh, I love the look of that. Wow. All right, I'll be back. Alrighty, so now we're going to need your long zipper, and the measurement is in the pattern. Your pattern piece I, which is the upper front panel, this one. And you're going to need your exterior piece and your lining piece. So with the exterior piece, make sure that your centers are marked top and bottom on these pieces. I've also marked the center on the front part of the top part of the zipper, right side, and on the underside of the zipper as well. So make sure your centers are marked, and on the under curve here, I have double-sided tape. And I'm going to pull my zipper apart. Now my zipper is longer. I cut it longer than the what's said in the pattern, so I can have a little bit of overhang. In the pattern, she's got you putting your zipper pull on and then sewing the ends and having the zipper pull hanging off, but it gets in the way, so I'm going to take my zipper apart, and I'm going to line up the centers. Take the double-sided tape backing off, and I have my center marked on the underside, so teeth down, which is the right side, on with the right side of here, and then just line up your centers of your zipper and follow the top edge of the zipper tape all the way around the raw edge of that inside curve. And there will be an overhang on both ends, which is okay. Okay. And you're going to start seeing it having a curve, kind of a mind of its own. Then put double-sided tape along this top edge of the zipper. And then we're going to put our lining piece on there. Just watch for puckers because you do have this curving on its own now. You don't want to have any ripples in your zipper. Excuse me. Stick a lighter to the ends of these zippers because they're fraying on me really bad. Okay, and then we're going to lay our lining right sides together with the right sides here and line that up with the center of your zipper here. I'm going to still clip just because of the curve. I don't want to have any puckers in this. I can feel it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to sew that on the seam allowance in the pattern. Making sure that as I go around, I don't have any puckers in my fabric pieces. And just go slowly around those curves. Okay, now you can clip in here so that it lays better. I'm not going to, I have a smaller seam allowance. So fold these pieces right side out and wrong sides together, and then we're going to clip the edges. Okay, smooth it all out. Pull it all so that it all is flat. Okay, we're going to top stitch all along here and then baste all around the raw edges. All right. So there is our front panel. All right, so I basted this whole thing shut, but I need to put my female portion of my magnetic snap in. So I'm just going to unstitch this. All right, and now I will put the female portion on here. Open this up. Just use my seam ripper so I know where I'm going to poke the hole. Okay, pop that on. Okay. All right, so the magnetic snap for the female portion is on. And I'll be back. Okay, so before we go any further by adding the gusset on, I did put my zipper pull on the zipper and attach the other side because now we have to attach the gusset, and it gets sewn over top of these zipper ends. So you're going to take your pattern piece J, which is your gusset. You have one exterior and one lining, and we'll take the lining or the exterior and the top zipper part, and we will clip these together. Actually, I'm going to use double-sided tape. It'll just help it stick better on both ends. Your zipper will most likely extend past over the edge ends of the gusset, and that's okay. I always leave it there. I'm just going to take a lighter to it. Okay, and then take the right side of your gusset. See if I have any matching material. Okay. So right side of your gusset with the right side of this zipper panel, and center that on. It might be a little bigger, maybe not. And then flip that over. And double-sided tape on the lining side. And then right sides together with the linings, right, both of them right sides together on the short ends, and center that on, lining it up with the exterior piece that we did as well. And then just clip that into place. And then repeat for the other side. If your gusset is a little wider than your zipper, than this panel here, that's okay. We can trim those edges just slightly, just to make them match. And then take the right side of your exterior with the right side and line them up. And clip. Okay, and then we're going to stitch across both of these ends at the seam allowance in the pattern. There goes Murphy. Okay. All right, so flip these so that they're wrong sides together. Flip the raw edges together. So you can see that there's a little bit of overhang slightly there. So just trim that off. You can trim it off after you stitch around this, because we're going to baste around all the raw edges and then we're going to top stitch across those sewn ends. All right, we now have our gusset and our zipper all ready to go, and I'll be back. We're on the home stretch. All right, so I had mentioned before that your gusset may overhang your zipper panel slightly. So all we do is we just kind of nick that corner off, just like I've done here and graduated, and I've done it on all the edges, and I'll just do this one here. So it's not a big snip, it just kind of blends in with the edge of your gusset. All right, so you've got all your centers marked. You turn this inside, like with the lining facing up. This is the top part of the bag. And then take your front, gorgeous front panel, tuck that flap inside so it's out of the way of the stitching. Make sure your zipper pull is in the center so it's not in the way of any of your seams. And your centers are marked top and bottom. Line up. Now, before I do anything, I take, when I attach things like this, panels like this to a gusset, I always put double-sided tape all around the perimeter. And that helps to stick it. I do that even though I clip it as I go as well. It just helps to get this put on properly. Oh, I better take my lighter to some of that thread. This is where it could get bulky because you're going over your that front area that has the pocket. Make sure it sticks. Sometimes it doesn't like sticking to my nylon fabric. Pull the backing off. And take your gusset panel with the zipper part up, and it's turned lining side out. And I put the zipper, so I made also, I made sure that, that the zipper pull was closing to the left when it's right side out. And take this panel and match your centers top and bottom. I'll find it. There it is. It wore off. And then clip it on, match and clip. Stick and clip, in this case. You'll lean a lot. You'll probably use a lot of clips. And I just clip the top edge first. And then the bottom edge. Oops. And then start working your way around, and if you find that you need to, that it's a little tight around the bottom corners, then you can nip into your, clip into your gusset, not your zipper tape. But feed that all on, matching all of your edges without any puckers. Oops. Okay. So we have it all clipped on, and then I'm going to sew it all on. I'm going to start at the bottom. Okay, so we have that sewn on, and then if there's any areas that need to be trimmed off, do that now. All right, so the grosgrain ribbon that I use 1 inch wide because it's finished on both edges. So all I'm going to do is just kind of measure around here as I go. And I always add extra, just to be on the safe side, because we want to fold over our raw edges. Okay. Okay, so I look at the curve. Now going around the zipper is going to be a little tight. Well, the zipper's not going to have as much room as the edges. I'm going to start at the bottom, fold under the raw edge, and then I just fold the grosgrain ribbon in half so that this edge and this edge should pretty much meet. And then I just fold it around, all the way around. I've got it upside down. I want the smooth edge out. Okay, and just follow all the way around, put it on tight, and clip, clip, clip all the way around. Okay, one thing I do find when I do go around the zipper is that this is too thick, so that when you're opening up, or it's too wide, or when you're opening and closing your zipper. So I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to put 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape around that edge of the zipper that's already sewn onto the front panel. Okay, and I'm going to take the edge of the binding and put it all along that edge of the zipper within the seam allowance on the one side. Just kind of working this out as I go. Okay, so all I've done is I've put it like this. There's the seam that we stitched the zipper in, and then there's the edge. And then instead of folding it over like this, I'm going to fold it over twice, just so that it doesn't have as much width, so that it can get in the way of the movement of the zipper. Just like that. So this will have a fold, a little fold, just to catch it. Just around the zipper only, we're doing this. Okay. Yeah, it looks great. And then I'm just going to sew all the way around this binding and sew the binding on. And I'll sew it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance from this edge. Okay. Okay, so there we have the edges all bound, and it's not as thick here as it is here if I had just done the full fold over. So that's going to be great because it won't be in the way of the zipper movement. Okay, yes. All right, make sure your zipper is open now, because we're going to need to, after we attach this part, we're going to need to have that open a bit. Okay, so now we're going to attach. Now I've already basted on the back strap, and I basted it on with the D-ring connector facing up, so that when the bag is on, that's the right side up. Okay, got my centers marked on the top. Not that I had them on the bottom. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so again, I'm going to put, excuse me, double-sided tape all the way around this perimeter. Okay. All right, so take the top edge, line up your centers with the top of the bag here, right sides together, and clip away again. Okay. And we just stitch around all of this like we did with the other side. No zipper to worry about this time. Okay, so we have that stitched all around, and then I'll just measure for the binding. Oops. And clip it on, and I'm going to start at the one side here, just so that it all isn't starting at the bottom. And clip all the way around. Okay. And we'll just stitch all the way around. Getting caught. Beautiful. Yay. Oh, wrong side. There we go. Okay. Everything is now bound, and we can turn this bag right side out. Okay, pull your strap out first, especially with this curve. All right, and push all of your seams out, all of your binding. Take these clips off, they're falling off. Okay, so push all of your seams out and roll them so that it might have to be trained. But the binding gives the bag a really good stability and kind of acts like a skeleton boning in a way. All right, so this is the edge that's going to need some help. Looks really good. And the other side. Oh, that looks really good. This on. And let's show you our bag. Okay, this looks really, really good. All right, it's done. So here is the retro sling from Kandou patterns. You know, we still have to work on our edges, our seams, just to roll them out. But you can always stuff the bag with, to help with your seams, if you take towels or tea towels, run them in your dryer for, say, a good 20 minutes to half an hour. Really, really, really get them hot. And as soon as you take them out of as soon as you start pulling them out of your dryer, stuff your bag, open it up, open it wide, and stuff your bag really, really tight and full as you can get it. And then zip it up and then let the hot towels sit in there for, say, 24 hours. And that will help train your seams to stay nice looking and not puckery. All right, and then just leave them in there for, like I said, 24 hours. The towels will hold the heat inside the bag and will help stretch your seams so that they will lay better if they need to be. Okay, let's take a look at this bag. This is so pretty. Okay, so the retro sling by Kandou patterns. Okay, isn't that gorgeous? Wow, it's so pretty. Okay, so I think I have this going the wrong way. I think it should be coming down, but that's okay. I'm not worrying about that. This is basically, this hook is, you can use it to hang things on, or if you want, you know, I mean, I could probably go over it, stitch it over here and have it hold, you know, hanging down, but that's okay. So if I want to clip my keys to it or anything like that, but it's almost like a grab handle that you can hang it on a hook or something. So look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? All fabric used today is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. And oh, this might be my new bag. I say that all the time, but who knows? Okay, so on the front, you have this zipper pocket on the front. It's not big enough to put a large phone like mine, but it has a lot of room in it. But I did the magnetic snap to close this, and there's lots of room for my phone in the front, just like that. And then you open it up and get access to your zipper pocket inside, where there's lots of room, tons of room for a water bottle inside. You have a slip pocket as well to put your wallet so that it's out, so that you have room for other things inside. And you can even put stuff that's tall. So this is, say, a water bottle size, or even a bigger one if you have a tumbler. Lots of room for that inside, and even like a 32-ounce tumbler. But even if you have something tall that needs to fit up in here. So we have lots of space. There we go. Lots of space inside. This is so pretty. Now, one of the things that I was trying to do was to keep this binding out of the way of the zipper. So two things that I sometimes do is, before I connect everything, I can top stitch the zipper down, or I've taken the Beacons Fabri-Tac and run it all on this inside of the binding, and then folded it down and clipped it all around until it dried. And then it holds, and it holds this binding out of the way of the zipper line. But just the fact that I folded, you know, I stuck it on and then I folded it under so that it was thinner going around the zipper has made a big difference too. And the zipper does work. And then of course on the back, we have our back zipper pocket that has lots of room, you know, for passports and your phone. My phone fits in there, I think. Yep, lots of room for your phone if you want it up against your body, and for your passports and that. But look at how pretty this is. And I wear my bags always on my right, so you can have it up against your body, you know, the adjustable strap. So I have mine like this. Oops. All right, moving, you guys. Okay. So you can wear it like this and I always wear it on my right hip, and then, or have it like this, or even, well, I wouldn't wear it like this because it's upside down. So I'd have to put it on my other shoulder if I want to wear it on my back like that. But you have to decide which side you want your bag to clip on, which D-ring connector. A lot of bags that I do make though, however, I do make a connector that goes right across the back. It's like a strap, about a 1-inch thick, and I put one D-ring on so that the D-ring is floating and it moves back and forth, so that whichever shoulder you put and I don't put these D-ring connectors on. So whichever shoulder you decide you want the bag to be on, when you have a sliding D-ring connector along that strap at the back that I do make a lot of, it will figure out which side your swivel clasp is going to hang and to be on. This way you kind of have to figure it out. So, and then of course, if I don't use this one, I could still hang my keys off of this. But look at how pretty that is. I am really loving the look of this, and it's so fresh looking and so pretty. Of course, very vibrant colors. all from Sam Fabric Creation, and lots of room. So get your retro sling pattern from Kandou Patterns. And now they've just got out a brand new pattern today, released today or yesterday, I think, and it's the Fielder Pouch. And it's a combination of this retro sling and the mini travel sling. So that's going to be my next video, is making the Fielder pouch from Kandou Patterns. But anyways, this is so pretty. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks a lot for being here wherever in the world you are. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. On the bottom right of your screen is a red subscribe button. If you're not subscribed already, just click that and make sure that the bell notification has clicked to receive all notifications so that you don't miss anything. Please let me know. I love doing the romper room thing, but please let me know where in the world you're watching from. I love seeing where everybody's from and how we are all so connected together on this planet, especially since the Artemis 2 did their journey last week, our furthest humans around the moon, and the fact that, you know, we're all on this planet together and we're all connected, and be thankful for having the connection with the internet and email and texting and all of that stuff, that we can all stay connected. And I just love knowing where everybody is watching from. And of course, I'm in Canada. So, all right, get your pattern, the retro sling from Kandou Patterns, and we'll see you at the next tutorial.